We're continuing on in the book of Hebrews, and today we're going to be in chapter 9, the earthly holy place. Now, even the first covenant had regulations for worship, and, and an earthly place of holiness for a tent was prepared. The first section, in which were the lampstands and the table of the bread uh, of the present, it is called the holy place. Behind the second curtain was the second section called the most holy place, having a golden altar of incense and an ark of the covenant covered on all sides with gold, in which the gold Urim holding the manna and Aaron's staff that budded, and the tables of the covenant. Above it was the cherubim of glory, overshadowing the mercy seat. Of these things we cannot now speak in detail. Now, these preparations having thus been made, the priest goes regularly into the first section, performing their ritual duties, but into the second only the high priest goes, and he but once a year, without taking blood, which he offers for himself and for the unintentional sins of the people. But this is the Holy Spirit indicating that the way into the holy place is not yet opened as long as the first section is still standing, which is symbolic of the present age. Also, accordingly to the arrangement, gifts and sacrifices are offered that cannot perfect the conscience of the worshiper, but deals only with food and drink and various washings and regulations for the body imposed until the time of Reformation. Now, redemption through the blood of Christ. But when Christ appeared as high priest of the good things that are that have come, then through the greater, the more perfect tent, not made with hands, that is, not of this creation, he enters once for all into the holy place, not by means of the blood of the goats and calves, but of the means of his own blood, thus securing an eternal redemption. For if the blood of goats and bulls and the sprinkling of defiled persons with the ashes of the heifer sanctified for the purification of the flesh, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, purifying our conscience from dead works and serving a living God. Therefore, he is a mediator of the new covenant, so that those who are called may receive the promise eternal inheritance, since a death has occurred that redeemed them from the transgression committed under the first covenant. For when a will is invoked, the death of the one who made it must be established. For a will takes effect after a death, since it is not in force as long as the one who made it is alive. Therefore, not even the first covenant was inaugurated without blood. For when every commandment of the law has been declared by Moses to all the people, he took the blood of the calf of goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book itself and all the people, saying, "This is the blood of the covenant that God commanded for you." And in the same way he sprinkled with blood both the tent and all the vessels used for worship. Indeed, under the law, almost everything, and purified with blood, and without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sins. Now, thus, it is necessary for a copy of the heavenly things to be purified with these rites, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifice than these. For Christ has entered into the holy place, made with hands, with which are a copy of the true things, but into heaven itself, not to appear in the presence of God on our behalf, now to appear in the presence of God on our behalf, nor was it to offer himself repeatedly, as the high priest entered the holy place every year, with blood not his own, for then he would have to suffer repeatedly since the foundation of the world. But as it is, he appeared once for all at the end of the age to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. And just as it is appointed for man to die once, and after that comes the judgment, so Christ, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to deal with sin, but to save those who are eagerly waiting for him. And that ends the reading of chapter 9.